Okay, welcome everybody. It is September edition of the New Ulm Human Rights Commission calling the meeting to order. Commissioner President Friending is out, so I am chairing today. First thing, everybody have an agenda in front of them, emailed or printed out in some form? Okay. We'll call to order, and now we will approve the minutes if everyone has had an opportunity to review them. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Thank you. Are you acting as secretary today, Chad? I noticed you have a pen and paper in your hand.
Awesome.
Prepared.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
Do you
Chad.
remember who made the motion?
Chad did.
I know. Okay. All right. So minutes are approved then. Also, similar to the agenda, everybody had an agenda, had an opportunity to look at said agenda. Does anybody have any questions about the agenda? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, motion carried, agenda's approved. All right, budget report. Let's see, if you are looking at this electronically, there is a link there you can click to. I think this is all also emailed, so there is the detail budget report. Does anybody have any questions on that, or is there any activity that should be on there that's not, or vice versa? So this has, it looks like the most recent transaction was what, end of August? So August 29th. And that was, right, the plaque engraving?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any discussion on that, questions or otherwise?
No.
Okay, then, I don't know if we need a motion to approve the budget, but I'm gonna ask for one anyway. Can I have a motion to approve the budget?
I move. I assume we haven't gotten the invoice from Printware for the additional signs?
I don't know.
Okay.
They're
They're not on here.
That would be my guess if they're not on there, because they do build, they just send it directly to Lisa, so I'm sure it would have been put on there, unless it's come, of course, in the last, because that was end of August, so it could have came since September 1st, I suppose. So we'll keep an eye out for it next month. Thank you. Did you get the motion and the second on that?
No, because it was kind of a
It was
tie.
simultaneously. Who wants the motion?
I'll take the motion.
All right.
I'll second.
Oh, usurp Larry second.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't care.
Okay, so all in favor of approving the budget, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, and budget is approved. Events committee, National Night Out. If there was someone, I did not make it. Is there someone that could talk about that? It's we missed last month, right? So, yes, it's been a little bit. Is anybody here?
Wendy was at the table, I know
Yeah.
that. And
I was
was Diane the other one?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, and Tim, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we'll,
I heard it went well. I talked to Wendy afterwards, and
Yeah.
she spoke well. Yeah.
I heard the same thing. Tim said that, I think. So we'll throw that back on because I would like to get some additional information. Not information, just kind of how it went. And Brown County Fair booth summary. Oh, it's been a long time since we met. So so I think all of us were at the booth at some point or time. Just generally thoughts. There was, most of you probably heard, there was one individual who had a problem with our booth, who actually was working on a nearby booth. I think, and the discussion was had almost exclusively with Wendy and I think to a lesser extent Tim, but.
No, he came, saw me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think the impetus for it was essentially that human rights should extend to unborn children, and that we don't advocate for those rights. I think that was the nexus of kind of their
Yeah.
animosity. I want to say, I don't know. I don't think that that's too
No,
harsh
I
a
think
word,
that's what he
because
that was his
it was definitely aggressive. Like, they were staring. They were just standing outside the booth and like staring at Wendy and.
I simply pointed him to our charter
Mhm.
and what the Human Rights Commission does in New Ulm, and that seemed to alleviate his.
And that we don't take a political stance.
Right, on that, yeah. Right.
Yep, exactly, and that's what Wendy's stance was originally. I think she circulated something that just said, "Hey, if they come up and talk to you, that's our position. There's the charter. We don't take political stances and move on." But I had almost exclusively positive interactions
Yeah, I did too,
while I was
yeah.
there.
I had a little girl whose poster was hanging in back, and she said, can we have her picture taken beside it? So she stood
Cute.
on the table behind, and I thought, yes, that they find out that they are looked at, they're seen, and she was really proud of it.
Cute.
We got a couple of people thanking us for being a commission.
Yeah.
We had one lady who asked about the sign, and when we explained, she said, that's just too broad. We don't want to welcome all of those people. It's too broad. I'm like, oh, well, thank you for your opinion. I didn't know really, I was confused to begin with, like what she was getting at, but I figured it out as it went along.
Yeah.
They're not usually outwardly aggressive about things. It's very passive, yeah.
Yeah. On the plus side, I did hand out
Several, yeah.
Yeah.
handful of
Several,
signs
too.
just in the 2 or 3
Us too.
positions that I took. Good, yeah. So I think we went through a lot of signs, which is good. And did we get the new ones, or?
I have them.
Okay, all right. All right, anybody else, anything else they want to add about the experience at the fair? Overall, there was not very many boos there. I mean, it was an off election year, so I suppose there's only half of what there typically was. It just seemed a lot slower this
Very
year
quiet.
than last or 2 years ago. I don't remember which.
I
but
think we should keep doing it. I think it's a
I
good,
do.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's a presence to maintain in the community, and especially the material, the book. I was pushing the bookmarks with the kids. You know, take it along with you, learn about what human rights are. So.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it's very useful. And really gets our name out there, and that's part of what we're here for. So, all right, we're going to move on then to the Human Rights Award. So, yeah, it's that time of year again, and I know we're a month probably behind on this, but do we have an idea of what we want to do for the ceremony? Like, well, actually, let me back up. The Human Rights Award, we need to make nominations first.
Right.
That's, I guess, the first step. So, my thought is if we could get nominations in the next couple of weeks, so that we can kind of have a decision, or at least be prepared to vote at the next meeting.
I have one, I don't know, can we say it out loud here?
I think so.
Yeah,
Or do we put it to Lisa?
Well, that's what I was wondering. I
I
think,
don't-
didn't she run an article looking for nominations? Did we kind of go through Lisa?
I think so, but with Alma, Tim recommended her
Mm-hmm.
on his
Right,
last
and that
day
was
here.
that was
Yeah.
an email nomination to the,
Yeah, I
Through
don't
Lisa,
believe
I think.
names were ever mentioned in this committee meeting.
no, right.
I thought he mentioned it at the meeting, and then I think did a formal written one
Okay,
to
Right,
Lisa.
yeah,
exactly,
that sounds
yeah.
about
So
right.
if you have, an idea, I mean, I think you can, I mean, if you had thoughts on who you
Well,
want.
I think we
but-
should put in a request for nominations for the Human Rights Award, along with the criteria
Mhm.
in a brief article. If someone could do that to give it to Lisa to post
I can
in the
do that.
paper.
I can do that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way of handling it. That way we're
Yep, opening it up.
Plenty of money for it this year.
right. Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying we have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when do we want to have a date deadline? When are we going to have the award? In April? Is that when we did it last time?
No, we did it
Last
in,
year we
Was
did
in
it
the
in
fall.
like November.
did it on October or
or
November.
October. I
I
think
think
it
it was
was
November, I think.
November.
November?
It was
Okay.
really late, though.
Yeah.
But that was for the,
the
The
year prior.
ceremony.
yeah, so,
But that's probably all at the same time. We present the award and have the ceremony, well,
Yeah.
no, because they'd give a speech or something at that. They maybe would need time to prepare that.
Right.
we did it last
Yeah.
November?
Yeah,
About-
almost a year ago.
Could we plan for February this year?
I was wondering if we should plan for someplace in the spring.
Plus, then we still have, access to the money in our
Mm-hmm.
budget up until January. We'll be able to spend, because we have a lot left to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be close enough because we'll get more budgetary funds right about that time as well, right?
Okay,
In
I
January.
think so.
City
So-
fiscal year, January to January?
And then
So, the-
speaker again.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so will the money that we have now, we can budget for even if we have it in September, right? So that won't fall off and we won't lose that.
What do you mean?
If the budget money happens in 1919, can we push it forward and use it again in 2020, or
No.
does that?
No, we want to use our money or else they're not going
But-
to give us more money.
Right, so that's my question. So do we have to use that before the first of the year?
We need to use it, yes.
Okay, so then should we?
I don't think it goes
So-
away, but it's gonna be hard for us to
Gonna
get that
ask for
same
the
amount
same.
next year.
We don't
If
need
we
it, they
plan
won't-
on
we
a
won't get it.
venue, we can pay for that out of like
Yeah.
sooner, and we can pay for the trophy or the
And if we get
plaque.
a,
Yeah.
if we get a speaker, I am, okay, I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, that we didn't just like, go into next year's funds,
There are two
without this
plaques.
going through. So we talked about, I don't know if we actually talked as a committee, but what do people think about, now last year, obviously, we did kind of, immigrant rights, that was kind of the focus, at least as far as the speaker was concerned. Do we want to address something different? Do we want to address like racism, for example,
Clearly,
this
our
year?
town needs to talk about racism.
Okay.
And systemic racism,
Okay,
institutional, we've all seen the editorials.
yep. To that end, I have not reached out yet, but I did actually talk to Allison, who spoke last year, just kind of, hey, this is what we're thinking of, this is the direction we're gonna go this year, I think, do you have any recommendations? And she directed me to an organization called FREC, which is FREC, which is an acronym for Facilitating Racial Equality Coalition. They do a pretty big workshop in the fall. If you want to take a look, I will forward the email, but they have tons of workshops coming up and tons of speakers. So what I'm thinking about doing is reaching out and finding maybe someone that can talk about that, who may want to be a guest speaker. So it's at overcomingracism.org. And
They meet in the fall,
yeah,
and where, here in the Mankato or
it's in
Minneapolis
the
or where?
Minneapolis area, but
Okay.
I gotta be honest, I don't, here it is, okay, so it's November 15th through the 16th at Metropolitan State University, the St. Paul campus on East 7th Street. So if you're interested in the conference, you can, I'm sure you could go, but I'm kind of using that as a starting point to see if there's speakers who are doing stuff on what we would want someone to come and talk to us about. And so I'm hoping through there I can maybe make connections, as long as everybody thinks that that's a good idea, or if they had other ideas for a speaker or anything like that.
Yeah, they do a lot of nice workshops. They do the racial equality, equity, leadership. They do anti-racism events and training, which might be more what we're looking for.
Yeah. And I was wondering if, so that's something we could talk about, and like, do we want more maybe of a workshop versus just a guest speaker lecturer? A workshop would be obviously more interactive. I don't know if that's something that we want.
Well, maybe that's something we could sponsor, and it was part of our education outreach, is to maybe, I think it gets too long of a night otherwise if we're gonna combine it to make it really effective, but we could,
Shortly
like
after
we
that.
did with
Yeah.
the trafficking stuff, Jackie, we could do something similar with, with this community evening or something, invite people to get trained and.
Sure, okay.
Announce it at the awards ceremony that this is
Yeah.
going to be coming up.
Right, yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so I will reach out to them, call or email later this week and just kind of let everybody know.
Are we targeting late February then?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think once you get to Thanksgiving, things get too busy and we're only like.
No, I
2
just,
months
when,
away.
given last February, I'm worried about the weather, but.
Yeah. It's always a gamble.
I hear that's the case.
Built-in backup day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
Well, and it's
as you're
local
planning
people,
it, just
so-
That's a
plan
really good idea,
plan a
Sue.
built-in backup day. A week later or something like that at the venues, or if we're gonna do it at the community center as we did last year, just check their availability and mark them both off. I think that's wise to pre-plan.
No, I think so. I think so too. Okay, so, all right. Any questions on that? So basically, if you have, I'll get something out to Lisa about putting an article, quick article together about nominations. We'd like to have those in by the next meeting so that we can vote. And then in the meantime, I'll reach out to the folks at FREC and just kind of get their feedback on whether or not that's something that they would be willing to do, or if not, maybe they know someone who can. So, and then I'll report back on that next month to find out where we're at. Let's see. So that was human rights. Number 6 now, 6-1 poster and essay contest. Larry.
We should probably get started on this
Yeah.
fall and get it synced up. So the education committee, I'll convene the education subcommittee and we'll have something ready for next time.
Okay.
I imagine it'll be very similar to what we've done in the past. We'll just have to set some deadlines as far as when we want those. I think last year we gave out the awards in our May meeting. We wound up doing it.
Yeah, I think it was right at the end of school.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
So if we get it, the materials up and running, get it out by January 1 at the latest to the schools, maybe before that even. And then we can, wrap it up maybe earlier May, like target for a late April kind of target date.
Okay.
That works?
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Do we want? Are we doing a video contest or
This
think we
is
decided not
never,
to.
I think we
ever
decided not to
came
do,
around, no.
at
Yeah.
this point.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Current human rights issues. There's nothing listed under that, but does anybody have anything that they wanted to?
Did we
Address.
put a letter in, a rebuttal? As a commission?
We did not. No.
No.
I missed the track. I've been kind of on the road.
Oh, there was, from the actual, the main editor for the, whatever company owns the journal, had a systemic or institutional racism article that he wrote about saying that doesn't exist. And then there was some interesting comments on that. So we had, not we, but there were a couple of people, I think New Ulm Forward might
Yeah,
have
I
written
think
one.
that's
missed
right.
that.
Yeah.
Somebody
I did
else.
too, yeah.
It's
I completely missed that.
eye-opening and appalling. It's bad. Disappointing all over.
Is there a way of letting us know which day that was in the papers
Yes,
so that we
I
can go
will.
back and look at it? I mean, I may be out of town or something,
Yes.
but completely missed that.
I think even if you go online, you can see quite a few. Like,
Yeah, it's still up there.
Okay, if you'd be kind enough to share that, Jackie, that would be great, so we can get up to speed on that.
Yes.
We should probably have a systematic, something in place to trigger a response, a timely response to some of those issues. Whether it's the chair,
Yeah.
vice chair, and maybe an executive committee would get together and
Immediately,
Yeah.
in
immediately
between
respond,
meetings.
yeah, between meetings.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to lose the timeliness of it.
No. Needs
That's
to
a
be
good
addressed,
idea, yeah.
addressed
Do you want me to
promptly
read
and
it?
quickly.
I have it up.
Yeah,
Okay. This is from September 4th of 2019 in the editorials. Despite comments by Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden last week, racism is not an institutional aspect of life in the U.S. Racism does exist, and we would all be better off without it. No form of bigotry, including the anti-Semitic comments made by a few members of Congress, should be accepted by Americans of all races, colors, creeds, faiths, and national origins. During an interview with reporters on Tuesday, the former vice president described racism as a white man's problem visited on people of color. He added that white folks are the reason we have institutional racism. His use of the word institutional implies that racism is something widespread, accepted by most people, legal, and even codified. But discrimination by race is illegal everywhere in the United States. The overwhelming majority of Americans have nothing but contempt for racists. Biden told reporters Wednesday that if he is elected president, racism will not be tolerated. But bigots of all types have existed in our nation for generations. They have persisted even when the machinery of law enforcement, even when the military, was mobilized in attempts to prevent violence grounded in prejudice. Only we as a society, and that means we Americans as individuals, can be effective in battling racism. We must educate ourselves and others. But we must also not get so worked up in our righteousness that we forget about the rights of even racists to think what they want to think and to say what they want to say. Not that we have to agree with them ever, but how Orwellian do we want to treat our fellow citizens? We do not need the thought police to combat racism. The antidote for any thought or speech or idea that reasonable people find abhorrent is more free speech, not less. This says nothing about racist violence, of course, which is illegal, as is any criminal violence.
He's arguing this free speech motif rather than.
We should be able to let them say they're racist and validate that they have the right to spew hate.
Despite it's being qualified and described as being hate
Right,
speech,
and that,
yeah.
it doesn't actually exist institutionally, which has been proven wrong scientifically and through independent investigator reporting in multiple places.
yep.
So it's disappointing and I didn't read the comments from people,
Yeah.
which are the ones that it just breaks your heart that these are the people you're living next door to, that you don't really know until something like this comes out.
Do we want to put something together, or do you think maybe that it's not as
I think it should be
timely?
carefully worded because this is a complex issue when you're regarding the issue of First Amendment rights and hate speech. It's maybe a lawyer could
Yeah,
negotiate
maybe.
that.
Maybe.
Those fine.
Maybe you can
I
walk
don't
that
think
line.
it's anything about free speach. It's the fact that they're denying institutional racism or
Well,
systemic
that he's
racism
doing that too, but
exists.
he's also, I think, arguing for the fact that they deserve the right to think what they want to think and say what they want to say.
Without anybody coming down on them.
Coming back
On
at
them.
them on their
Right.
Yes.
ignorance.
Yeah.
I
think
I
it's too-
believe in the First Amendment. I also believe that you shouldn't be able to spew hate at people.
Yeah, I think the distinction is between hate speech, what qualifies as hate speech versus
Right.
free speech is
Right.
is really the issue.
Mhm.
But I'm not gonna.
Yeah, there's a
define-
few issues
Yeah,
here.
right, yeah.
There's a few things going on.
There's multiple.
Well, you're right, you're absolutely right, Deanna, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so you'd have to address both things?
Check out the other,
Yeah,
like the
well,
retorts to
I
it.
have no doubt about those, but,
No,
Oh,
the letters that
There
went
were-
in.
There were a couple of letters the next day that
Mhm.
I thought did a nice job of
Very
kind of
much.
pointing out
Mm-hmm.
the incorrect nature of that.
line of
Point by
thinking.
Blind
point, it
thinking
was
that,
great.
yeah.
They did
Yeah.
a great job.
Yeah, that's
That's
another
fine.
reason why I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know.
It's done.
Yeah, I
I
think
guess
we've
I
missed
would-
our opportunity, but
Mm-hmm.
in the future,
But I like
maybe.
that. I like that idea though. If is something like that
But we
going
weren't-
on that
Right.
where time is of the essence. I think putting
We can
together.
only reply once we've had a meeting,
Mhm.
you know, technically. So I think coming back to say, you know, now that the Human Rights Commission, we can't leave this go. We're the Human Rights Commission.
Yeah.
You know, it's our duty to stand up for the people that deserve and need our help. I think just kind of sweeping it away because we missed it by a couple of weeks, it's wrong. We need to address it like we did with the other incident, like with Alma.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So are we suggesting maybe putting two or three people together and writing a rebuttal and then
Wendy
having it
said she was
approved at the
looking at
next
it.
meeting before, I mean, 'cause you said it needs to be approved.
We
That
No,
puts it another month
We need
out.
to talk about,
we
Whether or
can
not to respond, yeah.
yeah, we need to say, you know, yeah, we want to respond
But
to
two or three
this.
people write the response.
I think Wendy was
And then have it
actually attempting
approved.
it already.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When he was, and when we've done that before, we've emailed and just said, hey, this is
Yeah.
this is what we've put together. Are you okay with putting your name to it or something to
Yes.
that effect?
Mhm, that would be fine.
Yes.
You know, you can call a special meeting.
Okay.
When something like this pops up, and you can't wait until the next meeting,
Sure.
feel good about waiting.
Yeah.
You can call a special meeting, the journal has to know about it, it's got an agenda,
Okay.
and you can do that.
Is there a time frame from the,
You can't just gather together now.
Right.
And, you know, you're having a meeting.
Yeah,
No, that
okay.
doesn't work, but you can call a special meeting.
Okay.
anytime. So if something's in tomorrow's paper, you could have Lisa immediately say, special meeting.
Sure.
is there a
Okay.
time frame from the time we ask for a special meeting? Do we have to have it printed and then have a couple days, or is there a week, or is there,
I'm not exactly sure, but I know. it
there's
has
probably
to be-
some criteria to
so it
that.
has to be printed in the paper,
Yeah.
and it has to be an open meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can have it.
Okay,
And I'm sure it's it's something we can find in the bylaws. Easy
Mhm.
enough.
And,
Sure.
and that
We
way
wouldn't
you
wanna
don't have to wait
jeopardize that.
until your next regular
Mhm.
scheduled meeting,
Okay.
because then it's almost
yeah,
old news.
Yeah.
And by being too late, you might stir
Yeah.
up
stir the
Other
pot
things,
again.
right.
the pot one more time, and
Okay.
But I do agree with Jackie. I do think we should, it doesn't have to be a lengthy discussion, but it should be a statement that suggests that we disagree on certain, these elements, that systemic racism does exist in this country, has existed for a long time, continues to exist, and
Does
ignoring it doesn't.
Right,
Right.
does the education committee want to meet and
we're the event committee.
oh.
The cool committee.
Well, I was just thinking if there's a
You're on the education
We can
committee.
check with Wendy and see if she, I mean, it
Yeah.
all kind of fell in around school time
Sure.
that it happened. Am I off base here, Will?
No.
Thinking-
I was
I'm
just going to
trying
say that I don't think that there's a reason to stop this conversation. I
No,
don't think
there's
there's a
never a reason.
reason to brush it under the rug. I think that's a
Yeah.
conversation that should be had
Yeah.
and continued.
No,
And not just like
I wanted to
forgotten
anyway,
about, because
so
then
it's
today
nice.
we forget about things
What's
so
that?
quickly.
I wanted to anyway, so
Well, I
I
think,
was going to. And
can we charge Wendy and Dan and Tim with
Mhm.
drafting a response?
That's fine. Yep, I'll work with
I
them.
think we should vote
And
on
then-
actually doing the response too,
Yeah.
like, since
Okay.
we're here.
Yep.
Right.
All right. So, let's see. Can I get a motion to draft a response to that editorial?
I move.
A second.
All in favor of said motion, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. Motion carried.
Question?
So, we'll draft a response. Yes.
The draft response will then be emailed to all of the committees, so we can all have our name on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Typically, how we do that is, here's the response. If you want,
Yep.
place your name on it, then yes. Yep. Okay. All right. Good discussion. Anything else on that part or piece? Okay. Legislative update. I'm supposed to have something for that, but I don't. Sorry. I know I put together some material about a week ago, and then now I don't know where it is.
Well, I do know, I received reports from the Minnesota Department of Human
Yep.
Rights, and I know that the Attorney General has landed a couple of cases where in regard to, there was one at a high school in Minneapolis, or in Plymouth, who he sued them, and there was another incident too where they were, one was accused of sexual assault that they apparently the school retaliated, and that was a concern. And the other one was, I forget offhand what it was, but there were two, they were announced in the paper at the same time. I know that Attorney General Ellison is aggressively,
I think it was they weren't letting somebody graduate or couldn't walk because they had past due lunch money owed,
okay.
is,
Yeah,
I
could've
think,
been
what
what it
the
Yeah.
issue was.
Yes, that was one of his issues, yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Just
Yeah,
should be free anyway.
I remember
All
that.
people.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
I think the same article that I set aside and then put
Yeah,
up, and
I think
forgot
that's
the
what
details of it. But
so
yeah.
that was the crux of it, I think.
But they've actually filed suit in both those cases.
In both
was
those
the big-
cases,
was the
right, yeah.
news, yeah. Okay, City Council Liaison, do we know who that is?
That was me this time.
Okay,
There was a lot on the city council, nothing that pertained to us.
okay. All right, that's fine, thank you. Other business?
Still on that for the next
Oh, yeah.
couple
I've
months, or
done
what?
3 months.
So that should be it then.
So
Okay,
it's somebody else's turn now.
all
I
right,
would volunteer to do it for the next 3 months.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
So that would be October, November, and December.
Correct.
Okay. Other business, panel on race, Mankato Area Diversity Council, New Ulm Forward, New Ulm Human Rights Commission. Who wants to talk about that?
Are we co-sponsoring that? Is that what that was?
I don't think anybody here knows
I don't
about it.
remember.
Okay.
Is that
Jackie
Tim?
the Liaison or Jackie?
Might be, or Wendy.
Wendy, I
since it's
think, is our
Mankato.
liaison
Right.
with the
New Ulm
New Ulm
Forward.
Forward, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's keep that on for next month. I'm not also familiar with 10-2, Pecata Hayes Diversity Council Composed Survey.
I remember discussing that a couple of meetings ago, and I think Wendy was also working
Okay.
on it.
I move we table items 10-1 and 10-2 to our next meeting.
Thank
I
you, Larry.
second that.
Thank you. All in favor of tabling 10-1, 10-2 to next month, please say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Carried. All right, so we got the date of the next meeting. Before we do that, is there anything else? So we got some assignments. Does anybody know what they're, I don't know. Chad, after today, can you send me all the things that I volunteered or other people volunteered me for?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, anything else? Okay, so date of the next meeting, October 28th. It's very close to Halloween, so come in costume if you're so moved. And then you can
Oh, have we not learned lessons, everybody, that that's never appropriate?
Right.
very, very timely.
Yeah.
Very. Let's, yes, not that. Let's see. So yeah, that's end of October. I guess we'll just motion to adjourn if anybody wants to.
I move.
Second.
All right. Everyone that would like to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone that wants to stay here, say nay. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.